All right, let's knock out part two. Page 518. Theory of Alchemy and Practice of Alchemy, Part 2. This tincture being used as your guide shall teach you, you will make you young when you are old, and you shall perceive no disease in any part of your bodies. By means of this tincture also you shall find pearls of that excellency which cannot be imagined. But do not you arrogate anything to yourself because of your present power, but be contented with that which your guide shall communicate to you. Praise God perpetually for his gift, and have a special care that you use it not for worldly pride, but employ it in such works which are contrary to the world. Use it rightly and enjoy it so, as if you had it not. Live a temperate life and beware of all sin, otherwise your guide will forsake you, and you shall be deprived of this happiness. For now know this of a truth: whosoever abuses this tincture and lives not exemplary, purely and devoutly before men, shall lose this benefit, and scarce any hope will there be left ever to recover it afterwards. If, as transcendentalists believe, the initiations into the fraternity of the Rose Cross were given in the invisible worlds which surround and interpenetrate the visible universe, it is not beyond the range of possibility that this allegory is to be considered in the light of an initiatory ritual as well as an alchemical formula. As has been noted, it is difficult to secure a complete formula for any of the alchemical operations. The one presented here is the most nearly complete of any available. The collecting of the rays and energies of the celestial bodies as precipitated in dew is a process which Paracelsus used with great success. Bear constantly in mind that these processes are only for those who have been properly instructed in the secret art. A true revelation of the manual operation for the universal medicine commonly called the Philosopher's Stone, by the celebrated philosopher of Leyden, as attested upon his deathbed with his own blood, Anno Domini 1662, to my loving cousin and son, the true Hermetic philosopher. Dear loving cousin and son, although I had resolved never to give in writing to any person the secret of the ancient sages, notwithstanding, out of peculiar affection and love to you, I have taken it upon me, to which the nearness of our religion obliges me, and especially because this temporal life is short, and art is very dark, and you may therefore not attain the wished for end. But my son, because so precious a jewel belongs not to swine, and also that this so great a gift of God may be treated carefully and Christian-like, in consideration thereof I do not largely declare myself to thee. I conjure thee with hand and mouth sacredly, first, that most especially thou faithfully keep the same from all wicked, lustful, and criminal persons. Secondly, that thou exalt not thyself in any way. Thirdly, that thou seek to advance the honor of thy Creator of all things, and the good of thy neighbor. Preserve it sacredly, that the Lord may not have cause to complain of thee at the last day. I have written here in the treatise such a part of the kingdom of heaven, just as myself have worked this treasure and finished it with my fingers. Therefore I have subscribed all this work with my blood, lying on my deathbed in Leyden. The process. In the name of God, take of the purest and cleanest salt, sea salts, so as it is made by the sun itself, if such as is brought by shipping from Spain. I use salt that came from St. Uber. Let it be dried in a warm stove, grinded in a stone mortar as fine as possible to a powder, that it may be so much the easier dissolved and taken up by our dew water, which is thus to be had in the months of May or June. When the moon is at the full, observe when the dew falls with an east or southeast wind. Then you must have sticks about 1.5 feet above the ground when driven in the earth. Upon 2 or 3 such sticks lay some 4 square plates of glass, and as the dew falls, it is easily fastened on the glass like a vapor. Then have glass vessels in readiness. Let the dew drain from the sides of the glass into your vessels. Do this until you have enough. The full of the moon is a good season. Afterwards, it will be hard. The solar rays descending from the sun carry them solar sulfur, the divine fire. These rays are crystallized by contact with the lunar rays. The solar rays are also met with emanations pouring upward from the Earth's surface and are thus still further crystallized into a partly tangible substance, which is soluble in pure water. This substance is the magical mountain of the moon, referred to in the RC letter. The crystallization of the solar and lunar rays in water dew produces the virgin earth, a pure invisible substance uncontaminated by material matter. When the virgin earth crystals are wet, they appear green. When dry, white. Von Welling makes a suggestion for the extraction of the solar life from stagnant water, but is reticent both as to naming the essence extracted and also as to the various processes through which it must pass to be refined and increased in power. His hint, however, is both valuable and unusual. Take sweet, clean water and seal it in a large bottle, leaving about 1/4 empty. Place the bottle in the sun for some weeks until it rots, showing a precipitation in the bottom. This precipitation, when properly manipulated by distillation, will produce a clear, fiery, burning oil, the constituents and use of which are only known to the wise. The philosopher Aladdin continues, now, when you have enough of your dew, close your glasses exactly and keep it till you use it, that none of its spirits may evaporate, which may easily happen. Set it, therefore, in a cool place, that no warmth may come to it, or else the subtle spirit will rise and be gone, which will not so happen if, after you have filled your glasses with dew quite full, you close them very well with wax. Now, in the name of God, take of this dew water as much as thou wilt, put in a clean dissolving glass, then cast a little of your aforementioned powder salt into it to be dissolved, and continue to put it in till your dew water will dissolve no more, or till the salt lies in it 4 days without being dissolved. Then it has enough, and unto your dew is given its proper powder. Of this compounded water take as much as thou wilt. I took about 1.5 pounds and put it into a round vial with a short neck. Fill it with our water and lute it with a good lute, a cover and stopple that fits it well, that the subtle and living spirit of the dew may not fume away, for if they should, the soul of the salt will never be stirred up, nor the work ever brought to a right end. Let the lute dry very well of itself, and set it in the furnace of BM to putrefy. Make a slow fire and let it digest for 40 days or 50, and that the fume of the water be continually round about it, and you will see your matter grow black, which is a token of putrefaction. As soon as you have taken it out, have your dry furnace ready. Set your glass with the manner into an inner globe to congelate. Give it a slow degree of fire, continue it equally for 12 or 15 days, and your matter will begin to coagulate and to fasten round about your glass like a gray salt, which as soon as you see, and before it be 2 days, slacken the fire, that it may cool leisurely. Then have in readiness your putrefying furnace as before. Set your glass therein, and give the same degree of fire as before. Let it stand 12 days, and again you will see the matter resolve and open as before, and open itself, but you must every time see that the lute and your glass is not hurt. When you set your glass in the putrefying furnace, take care that the neck of your glass is covered with any wooden or glass stopper that fits it exactly, that the moisture of the water may not come at it. When you see it black, set your glass as before to coagulate, and when it begins to be of a grayish color and whitish, set it in a 3rd time to putrefy and coagulate to the 5th time, until you see that your water in its dissolution is clean, pellucid, and clear, and that it appears in the calcination of a fine white snow. Then it is prepared and becomes a salt fixed, which will melt on hot silver plate like wax. But before you set your salt out, set it again in the furnace of putrefaction, that it may dissolve on itself. Then let it cool. Open your glass, and you will find your matter lessened a third part. But instead of your former salt water, you will have a fine, sweet, and very penetrating water, which the philosophers have hid under very powerful names. It is the mercury of all true philosophers, the water out of which comes gold and silver. For they say its father is gold and its mother is silver. Thus hast thou the strength of both these luminaries conjoined in this water, most true in its right pondus. Prescription. 5 drops of this water taken inwardly strengthens the understanding and memory, and opens to us most wonderful and sweet things, of which no man hath heard, and of which I dare not further write, because of the oath I made God to the contrary. Time and the holy use of this blessed water will teach us, as soon as you have taken it inwardly, such influence will happen to thee, as if the whole heavens and all the stars with their powers are working in thee. All knowledge and secret arts will be open to thee as in a dream, but the most excellent of all is, you will perfectly learn rightly to know all creatures in their nature, and by means thereof the true understanding of God, the creator of us, heaven and earth, like David and Moses and all the saints of God. For the wisdom of our fountain of living water will instruct thee as it did Solomon and the brethren of our fraternity. In his rare treatise on salt, sulfur, and mercury, von Welling discloses a secret not generally revealed in alchemical writings, namely, that the alchemists were concerned not only with the transmutation of metals, but had a complete cosmological and philosophical system based upon the Kabbalah. According to von Welling, the universal salt in watery form is a positive cure for all the physical ailments of mankind. It is in every living thing, but from some things it is more easily secured than from others. Especially is this true of virgin earth. It is the universal solvent, the alkahest. The same writer also states that in the first stages of its preparation, this salt will cure any and all diseases of the heart. The anonymous philosopher Aladdin continues, would you now proceed further with our blessed water to the forementioned intention of preparing a tincture from metals? Hearken, my son. Take in the name of the Lord of thy paradisical water, of heavenly water of mercury, as much as thou wilt, put it into a glass to dissolve, and set it in a slow heat of ashes, that it may just feel the warmth. Then have ready well purified gold for the red, or silver for the Then have ready well purified gold for the red, or silver for the white elixir, for in both the processes are the same. Let your gold or silver be beaten as thin as a leaf gold. Cast it by degrees into your dissolving glass that contains your blessed water, as you did in the beginning with your salt, and it will melt like ice in warm water, and continue so to do till your gold or silver lie therein 4 days without dissolving. Then it has received its due pondus. And put this dissolution as before into a round glass. Fill it 2/3 part full. Seal it hermetically as before. Let your sigillum be well dried. Set it in the furnace of balnum vapori. Make a fire and let it remain 40 days as before. Then will the gold or silver be dissolved radically, and will turn of the deepest black in the world, which as soon as you see, have your other drying furnace in readiness. Continuing. Philosophers say there is no true solution of the body without a preceding coagulation of the spirit, for they are interchangeably mixed in a due proportion, whereby the bodily essence becomes a spiritual penetrating nature. On the other hand, the incomprehensible spiritual essential virtue is also made corporal by the fire, because there is made between them so near a relationship or friendship, like as the heavens operate to the very depth of earth, and producing from thence all the treasures and riches of the world. Ad meridiem natura operanium in arcadox cognitum. With this powder, you may as follows project on metals. Take 5 parts of fine gold or silver according as your work and melt it in a crucible. Wrap up your medicine in wax, cast it therein, give a strong fire for an hour. Then take the crucible out, as it were, calcined. Then cast 1 part on 10 parts of imperfect metals, be it what it will, and the same will be immediately changed into pure metal than what is brought out of the mines and produced by melting. And when you augment it in strength and virtue by resolving and coagulating, the 5th time it resolve itself in 3 days and be coagulated into 24 hours' time to an incredible and most highly pellucid stone, or red, shining, burning coal. For the white work, it will become like a white stream of lightning. Of this last coagulation, take 1 part, cast it upon 5,000 of melted gold or silver as before. It changes the same into perfect medicine, 1 part whereof will tinge 100,000 parts of melted imperfect metals into the very finest gold or silver. So far I have brought, and further I would not come, for as I would set in the matter to distill 6 times in 12 hours, to subtilize so highly that the most part, like somewhat most wonderful to behold, pass through the glass, causing an inexpressible odoriferous smell. Take heed that it happens not to you. Many more wonders of this holy art might be added, namely how to prepare therewith all sorts of precious stones and other most admirable things, but I would require too great a book to express the whole as it ought to be, especially as the art is endless and not to be apprehended with one view. And my purpose has been, loving cousin and son, devoutly to lead thee into the mysteries of nature and this holy science, and I have faithfully performed it. In conclusion, this letter states, Go thou to work as I have done before thee. Fear God, love thy neighbor from the bottom of thy soul sincerely. So will in the manual operation everything to thee, and when thou art at work therein, many of our brethren will reveal themselves to thee of our holy order privately. For I have on my part, by the eternal God, wrote the truth, which I found out by prayer and searching into nature, which work I have seen with my eyes and with my hands extracted. Therefore, also I have subscribed to the testament with my own blood, the last day of my life, on my deathbed. Actum Leyden, 27th of March, 1662.